Hello, everyone. This fine afternoon. It may be warm where you are, or it may be cold. I don't know. I know it's warm here in Southern California. How's everyone doing at 3 o'clock in the 3:05 in the afternoon? I hope everybody is doing well. We have a very great speaker this morning, afternoon. See, I'm so used to morning. This afternoon, you guys probably heard her before, but every time she gives a topic, it's all you learn something. And I know you will learn something on this one. So I will give you a little preview of who this person is. Her name is Christine Leo. And she's a former CPA with an MBA from UCI Irvine. She left a full-time job to be home with her children while operating an online business. She began using Nepo negative ion clothing and bedding products in 2009. And her allergies, her vertigo, migraines all improved within 6 months. Since then, she has embarked on a journey to learn about negative ions and its antioxidant benefits while helping others achieve great results. Currently a marketing leader, AGM with Nepo USA, a meditation instructor, she continues to expand her knowledge to help others by pursuing a PhD in natural medicine. Coach Christina believes in an integrated approach to wellness, combining meditation, digital biofeedback, wearable technology to better manage one's own health and extended longevity. Let's welcome Christine Leo.
Thank you so much, Bernie, for that wonderful introduction. And I want to thank everybody for making the time to be here with me in the next hour. And I truly appreciate, everyone's time is valuable, and I appreciate you entrusting me to provide you some valuable information in the next hour that I hope that you can walk away with that enables you to take control of your health. So, before I get started, I just want to kind of share a little bit of testimony myself. And Bernie has mentioned that in my, introduction, that I had suffered from vertigo and severe allergy, and then also like migraine. And all of those has been helped me like for about 15 years. 15 years ago when I had those conditions, it was a product that I used that really helped me. And then I wanted to kind of share with you, because ever since then, my own personal kind of like story kind of just continue to manifest itself like every single day, particularly when it comes to illness and any aches and pain I might experience. About this past Wednesday, I started having sore throat, and I really get sick actually, because I manage my health. I'm a meditator. I watch my health, my nutrition, all of that, and I exercise. I do Tai Chi, and I take care of my health really well. But like on Wednesday, I started having a sore throat, and it was like, it's one of those things you're like, uh-oh, something's coming on. So I gurgle with salt water, I take some honey, and it was helping. And then yesterday, all of a sudden, I just had an onset of a fever, which I don't remember the last time I actually had a fever. So I had this fever, and then I started feeling chill, and then it was just like I knew that, definitely, I've been I've contracted some kind of virus or bacteria. So, I started layering more of my kind of negative ion clothing. Actually, it's clothing made from the bedding material, so it's very, very strong. And I'll show you a picture in a little bit when I share my slides. But it was pretty amazing to me because I felt tired, and then usually when I feel unwell, I know like the first thing for me is get plenty of water and just sleep. And sleep is the cure-all for me. And then when I layer with this negative ion clothing and bedding product, it just amplifies it. So I basically just layer up, and I just slept a lot throughout the day. And then after a couple hours, my fever broke. And then I was a lot better. And then what was interesting is also that after I got up this morning, I could literally feel my body like pretty much recover. I don't think you could tell that I actually was sick. And, my throat has almost recovered, and then my fever was completely gone, and I feel like 90% better. And the first thing I felt was just this sense of gratefulness. I mean, I was just so humble and so grateful that I have tools that I can manage my health. And I didn't need to take any medication. I haven't taken like a fever reducer or pain med for I don't know how long, probably since the time that I gave birth to my daughters. And they're now like 17 and 19 years old. So I'm just deeply humble and deeply grateful because I have tools that could help me recover and help me get well without any additional burden put onto my body in order to recover. So I'm saying that because to me, those kind of quote unquote miracle happens to myself and my family and my team members or my customers pretty much all the time once they kind of understood how our body is electrical and how our body's innate ability, if you allow this electrical property to work for you, it's an amazing tool that we kind of get back to the basic. So I hope that I won't be talking too long because when I was doing research for this presentation, there's just so much that I wanted to share, but at the same time, there's a fine balance between how much you can absorb in learning this and how you can apply to yourself. So as Bernie mentioned, I'm pursuing a degree in PhD in natural medicine. And the basis of that degree actually couples the understanding of a lot of traditional medicine, such as TCM, traditional Chinese medicine, chakra alignment, aromatherapy, all of that based off an understanding through a scientific perspective, from a quantum physics perspective. So it's basically science trying to do a catch up to explain that for thousands of years, people in China and India have used these modalities to help themselves heal. So it's a fine balance between how much I want to impart with you, and so then you could gradually build up your understanding. And so I hope it's not too much, and I try to keep it simple. But in the next several weeks and for July, the focus on my topic is going to be on our electrical body, understanding our electrical body. And it's not just this physical body that you touch and feel, right? Because what we cannot see is actually this energetic body, this electrical body that is constantly working all the time. And if you're healthy, it's operating sufficiently. And if you're not, it's actually causes impediments, right? So my hope is through these health series, as I'm building my knowledge, that I could continue to impart this knowledge with you. And then so that you can learn to take your health into your own hand. And my goal is not to give you a fish, but it's to teach you how to fish, right? So if you're able to do that, I guarantee you, you're going to be able to live a very healthy and pain-free life all the way through your old age. Okay. So let me just share my slide real quick. And then let me see. Okay, share. Okay. Let me go to slideshow. Okay, is everybody seeing my slide okay, Bernie?
Yes,
Okay,
we see the
perfect.
lady. Yes.
So I took a picture of myself
Oh, is that you?
yesterday when I was feeling sick, and I said, okay, I had made this pajama, okay, made from this Nephil's negative ion fiber, made from the blanket, and I never had a chance to really wear it. And yesterday was really like the first time I decided, okay, I really need to do this because I'm having a fever. And it's from wearing this. Once I was in it, I was so comfortable, and it kind of lulled me to sleep, and then I just got well. I mean, I just can't express enough gratitude for what this product is able to do for me. So I just kind of want to quickly share that picture with you. So what I'm going to share with you today is kind of like the building blocks. I'm hoping this building block would help you understand about our physical body, what we can do about our body, and how we can help it stay healthy and avoid it from being sick. Okay. You have to pardon me. The slides are not polished as much as I want to. I didn't have enough time to get it done, but I hope that this is more of a conversation that I could help you kind of understand the basic. Okay. So let's start with our physical body. I mean, our physical body, we could touch, feel, and then, we all kind of tend to look at when our body starts having issues, we tend to say, okay, what can I do to treat this problem, right? So it's as simple as, you get a headache. What do? You go get your aspirin, your ibuprofen, right? And if it's severe migraine, like I remember I used to get migraine, and I remember going to see my primary care doctor. This was, 15, 20 years ago when I used to get very severe migraine. And every time I go, he would just tell me Advil, okay? And then when I go back to him, I said, you told me to take this amount and it's not working. He goes, okay, double that dosage. And then he kept telling me to double and triple. And then he told me to take different ones, right? There's Advil, and then there's Motrin, and then there's Aleve. I think it came to a stopping point for me when he told me, okay, take all those three all together. And I said, no way, right? It's like you're telling me something that maybe is a temporary fix, and I know my body can't take all of that. So that was like kind of like the first red flag. But traditional or conventional medicine tend to treat our body as separate parts, right? So if you have nasal allergy, right? What do? You go see a allergist, and then the allergist say, okay, let's poke you. I'm talking about these because I personally experienced this because I had very severe allergy. And when I went to see a doctor, my primary care doctor referred me to an allergist. And an allergist was like, okay, we don't know what you're allergic to, so let's do an allergy test. And literally my forearm was filled with prick holes. And each one of those was for a different allergen. And depending on how much swelling each of the allergen that was injected into my body, then the doctor will know how severely I am allergic to a particular substance. And you couldn't believe my arm. I should have taken a picture back then, but my arm was like all swollen with all these dots. So that was how, our health condition is being treated. You go to a primary care, and the primary care say, okay, based on your condition, let's send you to a specialist, right? So oftentimes the result is really treating the symptoms so we feel better. But then it doesn't address the root cause. What caused that to happen in the first place? And then when I'm thinking back, my migraine that I had suffered for many years is due to stress, because I used to work so many hours as a CPA, and during tax season, it was unbearable. I was working so many hours. So in hindsight, I knew that was actually the cause of my migraine. And then my allergy, the cause is probably because I came from a Southeast Asian background, from a country where it's hot and humid. And when I moved to the States, it's cold and dry. So my body never really got acclimated. So it's like we have to kind of go back and think about what are the root causes. So that's when we look at our body from a physical perspective, right? But then our body, we all know that our body actually runs on electricity, right? So, as simple as you ever see people dying in the hospital, or if you see movies, they always show like when a person is about to die and then their ECG, right? It's like at first it was like going, and then all of a sudden it just kind of flatlined. It flatlined because there's no longer electrical pulses, right? So, our heart, it's like our electrical pump, right? And then that could be easily measured by the ECG, right? And our brain is the command center, right? The brain, we could actually measure the EEG through EEG apparatus, the different brainwave that we experience. And then our nervous system is kind of like the super electrical highway within our body, right? Which the neurons that constantly transmit electrical signals. And our cells, all 60 trillion cells in our body, are mini batteries of bioelectricity. And in next week's session, I will talk a little bit more about our electrical voltage at the cellular level. So I think it's important for us to have this picture that our body is not just this physical body, right? So for example, I'm holding a pen, it's physical, but then in my palm here, right, there's actually energy here. especially because I'm a meditator, right? I could focus and direct my energy to my palm. And there's this energy field that's right at the center of my palm, but you can't see it, right? Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It's like electricity, right? How are we able to carry conversation and talk on the cell phone, right? Or well, how do we, text message each other, right? It's like you don't see it transmit, but we know that electrical wave, it's all around us, right? So that's where the important part is we have to know that we're all part of the universe, the greater universe. And there's this energy that's all around us and it connects with our body, our electrical body. So it's like a paradigm shift moving from the physical, which is like biochemical base, right? To more of an electrical energy based body. Okay. So, just kind of rehash a little bit. So the Western medicine looks at and treat our health condition utilizing modalities such as drugs that kind of create a temporary fix. I believe in integrated medicine. In other words, our body sometimes does need the help of certain drugs or certain pharmaceuticals, but your body, when it's relying on it and it's not, and you're not dealing with the root cause, then it creates more issues. So it's good for quick fixes. And then Western medicine also utilizes therapy, utilizes surgery to fix our health conditions. Again, we have to think it treats each part as a separate component. But if you look at our body, it's not separate. Your brain is not separate from your heart, right? We are an integrated component, and our blood flows our entire body. Our electrical system flows our entire body. So the Eastern medicine treat our body as a whole and utilize what we call subtle energy, and more commonly known as chi or prana. So that moves in the universe and then also within us, right? So when we can harness this subtle energy in our body, we could actually help our body self-heal, right? So Eastern medicine focuses more on looking at the root cause and then focusing on the energy flow of the body and then looks at where it's stuck. When it's stuck, it try to kind of allow it to flow. And then your emotional state also has a lot to do with how well your body function. So let's just kind of think about it. If electrically or energetically your body has issues, right? It will manifest in your physical body. So for us to fix it, we actually have to go back to this subtle energy, this kind of almost kind of abstract, energetic body of ours, right? To try to fix a problem. So there's actually multiple layers, but I'm just kind of simplifying it between the physical and the energetic body. And, we often hear how wonderful it is to do Tai Chi, right? And I personally do Tai Chi and I could feel the energy flowing in my body. And when the energy flows, and especially when it flows well, you basically wouldn't have any impediment in this natural flow of energy that's always replenishing our body, okay? The energy in our body. So I just want to give you a couple of scientific kind of study or understanding of the electrical body. There's a book called The Body Electric. This book was published in 1985, and the author is Dr. Becker. And it's a very amazing book because it really talk about the study of electricity flow in our body. But the most famous experiment that was done was what he did with the salamanders. Salamander is kind of like a lizard, right? So salamander, it's amazing. It has this ability to regenerate its limbs. So if you cut off one of its limbs, it will actually grow back. Another one will grow back, okay? But what's interesting is in his experiment, what he did was he amputated the limb of the salamander, and then he measured the electrical voltage of the end that was cut. So it went from like a balanced neutral voltage, all of a sudden it went to a positive charge, okay? So frog doesn't have that ability. Salamander does, okay? So when a frog is amputated, right, the voltage will go to positive. The same with the salamander. And the frog, actually, the voltage will gradually go back to zero as the wound heals, but the frog will not regrow back. So what happened is the frog will have a missing limb if you trim it off, right? Now, here's what he did with the salamander. So he cut off the limb of the salamander, And the voltage is positive. Okay, so I'm introducing the concept of positive and negative charge because this is important. Okay, so at the point of cutoff, it's a positive charge. Now, for the salamander, the polarity of the voltage actually will start to go from positive to negative. And then as it goes towards negative, its limb starts to grow back. So, in other words, the negative voltage is associated with the regrowth of the limbs. So, this idea of positive voltage and negative voltage is going to tie into our understanding of negative ions and positive ions. Okay, so this is actually one of a very famous experiment, really eye-opening. The first time I read it, I was just in awe. And next week, I will talk a little more about Dr. Tennant. That's another doctor, the book that I read extensively called Healing is Voltage, where he talked about the cellular voltage or electrical voltage at the cellular level. So just kind of tie into that a little bit is that if you were to smash your thumb, right, the voltage, he says, it will go from a healthy, normal negative charge immediately go down to positive charge. You see how that correlates with the salamander, the limb getting cut, where the voltage goes down to positive. And then Dr. Tennant says, in order for your thumb, which is injured, for it to heal, it's going to need negative voltage, enough negative voltage to bring it back to health. So it's almost similar to the salamander. It has this natural ability to generate this negative charge and allow the limb to grow back. So Dr. Tennant says to make new cells, you're going to need voltage. And that's a very important concept that I will go through next week. Okay. This is another book called We Are Electric by this scientific researcher, Sally Addy. And she talked about this concept of womb currents. Okay. So this is also important to tie back to our understanding of negative ions. So what happens, see, I have a cut on my hand. So I have a picture here. If you have a cut, right, you accidentally cut yourself, right? All the ion in that region, right, it's going to flow out. It's kind of like your circuit, it's short-circuited, okay? So when it flows out, the ions start flowing out. It's called a womb current. So there's a current, electrical field that flows out, right? So in other words, these ion is going to generate this kind of like electrical field around the womb. So when it does that, it's almost like calling out. It's like a signal. It's going to go around and then it's going to call out all the cells, including the cells in your body that are instrumental in repairing, right? So now as it calls out, these cells are going to come and then it's going to start to repair the cell, the cut where you have wounds. So it's interesting, like this signal will start to, at first, like when you first get cut, it's like really, really loud signal calling out to the rest of your body. It's like, I'm injured, come and help me, right? And then as your wounds start to heal, this signal start to quiet down. And then when you're completely healed, then the signal kind of fades away. So just imagine if you could amplify, right? Amplify this, what we call the wound current, right? That's the ion flowing out. You can speed up the healing of the wound, right? So that's not just the skin, it includes your muscle and your bone, anywhere that's damaged, right? So if you could increase this current, this ion current, you can speed up the wound healing, all kinds in your body. So I think those two are really good demonstration. There are so many studies regarding the bioelectricity of our body and how there's now more and more study to show that we can actually leverage these bioelectricity to our advantage, because oftentimes it's when our bioelectricity, it's not at the maximum level or it's being impeded. So this is very important. This I won't go into too much detail, but again ties back to the concept of ions. So ions are what we call atoms that has electrical charge. So that's why when we say negative ion is atoms Atom is what makes up everything in the universe, visible or not visible. So when it has what we call a negative charge, so negative is not in a bad way. So sometimes I really don't like that people say negative ion. So is that bad for you? So it's not. It's really talking about the negative charge of the ion. So an ion can have a positive charge, it can have a negative charge. Okay. So it's interesting that ions actually, when it resonates, right? Ion, because it's charged. So some atoms are not charged. So they're just atoms. So they're not ions. So ions are charged atoms. So just imagine when they charge, they actually what they call resonate with Mother Earth. Planet Earth is actually like a gigantic electromagnetic field. That's why you might have heard earthing is good, like where you go barefooted, right? You walk on grass. Right? And then when you walk on grass, I mean, nowadays I just tell people be cautious because grass has fertilizers and pesticides and different things. So you want to make sure that there's not like a lot of unhealthy toxin that you could absorb into your body. But earthing is one of those important things where when you walk barefoot without your shoes, because our shoes create a barrier, when you walk on grass, on sand, it actually connects. It allows the electromagnetic field of Mother Earth, which is actually negatively charged, like negative ions. It actually goes into your body and helps your body, energetically. Okay. Because our body just has an imbalance. It's kind of like the yin and the yang. We're not balanced because our environment has so much pollutions and it causes our body to be imbalanced. So, for example, calcium ion, potassium ion, magnesium ion, zinc ion, all of these, when they have atoms with an electrical charge, it will actually resonate with Mother Earth. So then it will actually amplify its effect. So ions are just really, really amazing, amazing things that our body has to help us stay healthy. Okay. So I just want to now wrap it back to an understanding of negative ions. So basically, ion is just an atom with electrical charge, right? So when it has a positive charge, it's what we call positive ion or free radical. And then when we have negative charge is what we call negative ions. And also another common name is actually antioxidants. So this is an important concept to understand about ions because when we understand what ions are and at the basic level, what is helping us do, we will understand that modalities like air ionizers, and then for the product that I love and that you saw a picture of me wearing, which is the negative ion fiber woven into articles of clothing and articles of bedding product. And it's through friction with my skin and through friction with other material, it constantly generates negative ion. Actually, what it does is it's through friction with my skin, it generates electric static charge. This electric static charge, when it's saturated on the fiber, it will cause the electrons to bounce out. And then when it bounces out, it's going to get attached to oxygen. So then, within like 50 centimeters, if we were to breathe it in and if we absorb into our body, it's beneficial, kind of like oxygen negative ion that goes into our body. And then it goes directly travel through the the energetic body of ours. So if we were to think back to what I said about Eastern medicine, the Eastern medicine, especially like acupuncture, I mean, we all have seen pictures, meridians of the body, and then we see acupuncture points. Acupuncture points are actually electrical potential in the body where I believe it's where the point is low. So in other words, it allows electricity to go in easier. That's why when I had my allergy, I went to see acupuncturists as well. And acupuncturists would put 2 needles, right, on the back of my neck. Now I'm getting treatment for my nose. It's not placed on my nose. It was placed on the back of my neck and then like 2 spots on my elbows. And then I would lay there and then he would connect these electrical current to the needles. And then I would lay there for 45 minutes. And then I'm good for probably 3 months. No allergy symptom whatsoever. I am perfect. Like I had no allergy problems. But then it's kind of like clockwork. After 3 months, I would have to go back and pay him a visit because then he would have to do the same treatment again. So that's why when we talk about how the negative ion fiber works, it's like once our body absorbs the negative ions, it goes in our body, it actually travels through the meridian and it re-energizes us. And then it adds electrical voltage to our cells and enable our cells to have the healthy negative minus charge. A healthy cell has to have a minus charge, not a positive charge. So if you were to measure the cells of people that are chronically ill, or like especially if it's severe, such as cancer patients, their cells are all exhibiting positive charges. So that's why it's important to actually, oh, I didn't have the other slide. Okay, so I will show that next week. So that's why it's important for us to have exposure to negative ions to neutralize and to provide the electrical voltage to our cells. And then it also help us enhances all the electrical flow in our body as well. Okay, so the neuron, I know most of you came onto this call that you have had some exposure to using the negative ion fiber called neuron from Nephil. And then if you're hearing this for the first time, I hope the explanation in the beginning kind of helps you understand about what I'm going to talk about here about the negative ion fiber, which I kind of talked a little bit about already, which is like neuron can generate consistent negative static electricity and hence negative ion just through friction. So it's kind of like this. So if you were to look at this as the fiber, this single strand of fiber woven into different articles of clothing and bedding, as long as you wash it clean, it will always generate negative static electricity and hence negative ions, which once absorbed into our body, helps our body stay healthy. And then it has this almost like a rejuvenation effect. So it also balances out and gives your body what it needs especially if you're unwell for any health reasons, you probably are lacking enough electrical voltage. So neuron can do that through friction, and then it goes into the body. So the thing is, it's kind of like I often use our cell phone as an example. We all have a cell phone. And then the cell phone is you use it throughout the day. And then at the end of the day, before you go to bed, what do we all do? We just plug in our phone to charge it up so that we can use it again tomorrow. Now, imagine if you charge it only halfway and you unplug it. So the phone is always at 50%. So it will work the 50% and then it's not going to work. Or if you charge it at an outlet that's not optimal and is only providing, let's say, 50% of the charge. So you're constantly charging, it's going to take a long time for it to be fully charged, assuming you continue to plug it in. So it's a little bit the same idea with us charging up our cells. So our cells all have functions. So throughout the day, it's constantly working. I mean, just think about us. I mean, humans are really rhythmic animals, right? So we sleep 8 hours, we work 8 hours. In general, most people work more than 8 hours. And then the other 8 hours, it's like we do the other necessary things like eating, shower, and different things, right? So we work on the rhythm. So it's the same thing. It's like, why do we need 8 hours of sleep? It's funny, I was reading something and they were saying that sleep, the new coffee. So in other words, if you get enough sleep, you wouldn't need coffee. You don't need any pick-me-up because what people really need is enough sleep. So that's why if we understand the idea of why we need 8 hours of sleep, then you would understand our cells would need the same thing. It actually needs to be recharged because throughout the day, our cells are functioning and then it's constantly emitting energy, it's using up energy. So that's why when we sleep, we kind of recharge. So when we have an environment, whether it's sleeping in this negative on clothing and bedding, or if we kind of sleeping in our bedroom, we put in the air ionizer or some sort of modality that helps our body kind of self-repair better, that would be more beneficial because it enhances. Because sometimes the restoration process might not be able to catch up with the depletion process. So that's why we kind of need extra help. So that's why it's important to keep these things in mind. So let me see. Okay. I think that's the end of my slide. I hope that I'm not talking too long. So I will open it up to questions if anyone has any questions. And I want to encourage you to come on the call on Saturdays to help yourself learn and educate. And then this is being recorded. I'll make it available for a limited time. So then I hope that it could help you some more. Okay. So I'm gonna unshare. And then if you like, we could just have a conversation. Okay. So does anyone have any questions,
Well,
thoughts?
I had a question, Christine.
Yeah, go ahead.
The pajama outfit that you had was made out of the bed sheet?
No, it's made from the blanket.
It's made from the blanket on the inside.
Inside, it's
And
100% of the blanket. Yes.
oh, okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, in hindsight, I'm like thinking I need to have a set for every single member of my family
Mm-hmm.
because this is, to me, it's a, even though it seems like the cost is a lot, but then if we think about how much things cost nowadays, let alone if we talk about healthcare cost.
Well,
If you're
medical.
healthy, if you're healthy and then you just kind of incur a medical premium every year, that's probably okay. But knock on wood, hopefully you don't get sick. But then if you get sick and then you have to go through treatment and all that, the cost could be onerous. So it seems like it's a lot. I mean, if we were to look at just the pricing of the blanket, it seems like it's a lot. But if you really truly take it and then you divide it by, let's say 10 years. And I know people have their product for like my blanket, my first blanket, I had it for 15 years. I've seen blankets at like 30 years and they still work just fine. So that's where we have to move our mindset from a price perspective to a value perspective. Because when you look at it from a value perspective, you realize there's the cost that you had the initial outlay, but then you gain back in so much more in not having to see a doctor for your ailment. And I'm not advocating you don't see a doctor, okay?
Right.
That's not at all what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you minimize the requirement for you to go see a doctor because your condition has become severe. So there is the productivity loss. So if you're sick, and if you're sick, actually, it's not just you losing time, and time is money. And then there's also your family that needs to care for you. So those oftentimes we don't quantify it. But then if we were to quantify, let's say you made $50 an hour, and then how much time you're not actually working and you're not making money, those
Right.
are the time you have to quantify. So because I have a CPA background and also I study finance, I'm very in tune with idea of saving money, but saving money where it counts. So in
Mhm.
other words, don't spend money on frivolous things, but spend money on things that will continue to pay back to you over and over and over again. So that's where that's important. So the outfit for me was like, and the labor cost isn't that much at all. So it was like a full outfit, and I never had to wear it since I bought it last year. So I was just so glad I had it. And it literally, when I put it on, at first, like for the first hour, I still felt the chill from the fever. I still feel the cold from the inside out. For all of us who have experienced fever, you know how that feel. You like, you, no matter what you wear, it's like you still feel cold, right? That's
Mhm.
how I felt the first hour. And then the second hour, it was like, oh, it's nice and warm. Like I didn't feel the chill anymore. And then my body started just getting warmer and warmer. So that's where I feel so grateful and humble by what it can do to help me stay healthy.
Oh, very excellent. Excellent.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. Anyone else have any questions? I know it's kind of a lot to absorb, but as you can see, I am so enthusiastic when I'm able to share something like this with everyone, to the people that I know, because it really truly is the future of medicine if you choose to embark on this path, right? Where you take responsibility for your health. Because most of the time we have a tendency to say, oh, I'll just go see a doctor. The doctor will tell me what to do. But the doctor doesn't know you as well as you know you, right? So we have to first accept the responsibility that health is our responsibility. The doctors are advisors. The doctors are helping us and suggesting to us a course of action. But we have to first take responsibility, like my health is my responsibility. And guess what? When you decide to take that responsibility within you, you will actually start to become more engaged in what you can do to make your body healthy. And then when you start doing that, it's amazing how your body starts to have this rippling effect. And they've done plenty of studies where your intention, what you believe in, has a tremendous effect on yourself and also effect on all of those people around you. And they've done measures like, for example, your heart. It's not just an electrical pump. It actually has a gigantic electromagnetic field. It's constantly emitting energy. So that's why we always say, open your heart, because when you open your heart, you're willing to accept, things that you might not be aware of, or you might not know, right? You're willing to accept because the universe is so much greater than what you know. But when your heart opens, you're able to receive, and then all of a sudden, different messages to you in terms of better health. And all of a sudden, you just kind of start to connect. And then it's kind of like a healthy rippling effect. And then your heart, they've measured magnetically, it can emit huge electro field, and that has an influence on the people around us. So I highly encourage everyone to kind of first take the responsibility that, oh yeah, I could take care of my health. That's why I believe in an integrated approach, because we don't know what we don't know. But the thing is to continue to learn and develop your knowledge, and then also allow yourself to continue to, you don't have to be a doctor. You don't have to be, I choose to become a health coach because I'm so enthusiastic and passionate, because I experienced it myself and I know that others can learn about this. But the thing is, you don't have to be a doctor or whatever, but it's just knowing the simple idea, simple concept of our body is greater than this physical body. Then you will start on this path to enable your body to get the energy that it needs. I always think like traditional Chinese medicine has been around for thousands of years. How did they even figure out, like, if you poke a needle in this spot and then, that spot, like for me, it's like poking a needle here and here, and helps my nose, right? And that took like years and years and years of experimenting and then drawing conclusion and then collective knowledge to come up with that. And then now it's like science is trying to explain what thousands of years ago the East Asian medicine had been able to figure out. So yeah, I hope this is helpful for you. And depending on who you had connected with to get on this Zoom call, just make connection with them, and then I'll send the recording out to them. I know Shelly has a few people here, and then Bernie as well. So I'll send you guys the replay link if you want to just go back and kind of digest a little bit. But I'm hoping that I'm building a house, right? I'm giving you the first few bricks, so then you can continue to build the knowledge. And I confess I don't know everything, but I want to take what I learned, what I experienced, and impart that with you. And I hope that will help you continue to stay on this path of better health for yourself and your family. Okay, so I will conclude the presentation today, and I look forward to seeing you all again next week. Okay, take good care. Enjoy the rest of the weekend.
Christina, we just want to say hi to you. We have
Hi. Oh, good. I'm glad. I hope it was helpful for you.
have one colleagues in another place.
Yes.
Yeah, so we have 6 people joining the meeting
Oh my
today.
God, so wonderful. I'm so glad I'm able to touch
Yes.
people's lives today.
Yeah,
I hope
so
it was helpful.
for the
Sorry?
replay link.
Yes, I'll send it out to you guys. So you could go back and listen to it again. And I hope that it will be helpful for you to start to digest some of this stuff. Okay?
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right.
Bye.
Take good care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.